Hello, my beautiful moon souls. I'm Anna, a content and product manager with MoonX app, and I'm beyond excited to share some stellar news with you today. We've just released an update for Lunar AI, your lunar buddy, so now Luna can suggest you daily advice based on the current astrological aspects, something like weekly forecasts we did before. And that's not all. We've also launched our very first video podcast episode where we talk about the moon and women's hormones. So meet Laura, our podcast host, and Michaela, a women's hormones coach, and I'm sure you will have an amazing time with them. Thank you for your love and support, and let's continue this magical journey together.
Thank you guys for having me here. I'm excited to be supportive and I hope that I can, give you my knowledge or whatever and have a nice little conversation. So thank you so much.
Heck yeah, and it's nice to speak to another redhead, by the way.
Yay!
Millennials,
Less than 1% of the world. Okay.
right?
And I apologize, I was a minute late. I had a client call right before this, so I just was popping on.
No, you're absolutely fine. um, so yeah, oh my gosh, so excited to finally meet you, Michaela, and start this interview.
Yay!
Um, so you are a nutritionist and you also do a lot with hormone balance, is that right?
Yes. So I am a functional hormone health coach. I'm a Reiki master, Reiki energy master, and I'm also really diving deep into human design too. And so I'm a clinical registered dietitian nutritionist. So my master's in nutrition. So I really started in the clinical side of things, but I have like so many different forms of spirituality in my family that it just naturally led to kind of diving into this world. And then like the MoonX app we downloaded like 3 years ago, my sisters and I. And so hearing from you guys, I was like, oh my gosh, so cool.
Oh my gosh. So what brought you to Moon X? Like
So,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, my older sister, she's very much so into like witchcraft for sure. And she was like, Michaela, you just have to check out this app. It's wicked cool. Look at all the different phases of the moon. You have your daily tarot card of the day, and that's what we were already doing ourselves. So to have it on a little cute little app was nice. And we had like the gratitudes. And honestly, at the time, it wasn't as built up as it is now, the app itself. But I also used the period tracker myself, which I honestly love
Oh, same
doing.
here.
Yeah, that's like literally the only place I actually am tracking my period stuff. And I really dove into the meaning behind the tarot cards with that. Like I think I actually use the tarot library a lot. I use the sounds like almost every night. Like I'm feeling chaotic, let's listen to thunderstorms. Or like I'm feeling like we need some ocean, so let's do it. So
Oh,
the that's a
same,
real
same.
I probably
Yep,
open it like once a day if I'm being honest. So
same here. Oh, only once. Are we being honest
at
here?
least once a day.
Okay.
At least once a day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love the sounds, the tarot cards for sure.
Yeah.
And then of course I do track my period. I didn't used to. I had no idea that, going with your hormones and going with the different cycles, with the different phases,
Yes.
especially like, for us women, like
Yes.
it's a game changer in
It
how you feel, like,
yes.
and yeah, I started to see that with the Moon X app. And then I got I guess we can talk about this like a little later, but I have this book too. I'm
Yes.
sure you've heard of it. So I'll
Yes.
have questions about this too for you.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's just amazing to see like the different balances and how different you feel
Mhm.
when you kind of go with just naturally your body cycle.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I 100% agree.
So for some women like me, definitely like a year ago, I did not know what hormone balance was. So do you kind of want to like explain to our viewers what that is and how that impacts different cycles, like the different phases of the cycle each month?
Yeah. For sure. Can I lean into women's health specifically? Because of course,
Sure. Oh
okay.
yeah.
But as an expert in the women's health field, I'll lean more into women's health. So, How to explain, okay, hormone health. So basically, hormone health is literally the foundation of your body's like health systems, okay? Like the hormones that we're most commonly talked about is like cortisol, which is a stress hormone, right? We have estrogen, progesterone, which like that balance. We'll talk more, I'm sure, within this podcast, but that balance is so important for moving through your cycle, for fertility itself, through moving through menopause, through puberty, like through everything. There's of course our thyroid. So I've actually had a Hashimoto's diagnosis since I was 12, so Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And so that is for me and for other people with this autoimmune kind of diagnosis, it is a call to lean into what actually stresses out our body, what is causing inflammation, what is causing these. But because hormones are literally, they're like the workers, they're like the worker bees in your body. Like they are carrying out all the body's functions. So by understanding the foundation to hormones, now all of a sudden you are supporting literally all your body's systems. And so I think that that's what's so incredible about hormones is that, I think at first people just think, oh, like fertility or whatever. But honestly, it is so full body. Like it's such like the symptoms that come up with hormone imbalance are literally every symptom ever. Like literally, like I think maybe we'll talk about this later, but anyway, it just touches on everything. So anyway, that's a quick little explanation of what is, hormone health.
Yeah, when you said like literally every symptom ever, I was like, yes, the
Yeah.
joys of being a female.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Absolutely.
lots of ladies are going to get that one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to read something because I did not know this, but there's an article, and according to the spiritual practice of menstruation,
Yeah.
I believe it's by Jane Hardwick. We found the point of view that before electricity, women ovulated when the moon was full, and then they bled when the moon was dark. So we're looking at that as a little bit of like almost like a light cycle, it sounds
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
So it looks like the pineal gland in our brain sends messages to our ovaries by our hormones
Mhm.
to release an egg based on the amount of light
Mhm.
that is being emitted, which I thought was really, really
Mhm.
interesting. So the question comes today. Obviously, we're not all in like a tribe now. We're like
Yeah.
outside with the natural light and everything. We
Yeah.
have all these modern like conveniences and
Yes.
houses and everything. So that obviously changes everything, mainly with the circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
So in modern societies, like, kind of change from the natural cycles, how do you think that really impacts now our hormone imbalance and like, yeah, our like regular circadian rhythm?
Absolutely. So I can say that if you're into the hormone healing world, like on social media or whatever, a very popular tool is to get at least 5 to 10 minutes of natural light first thing when you wake up. That is something that's
Mm-hmm.
literally like a prescription to help heal your hormones, as to get natural light in the mornings. And I think that that is so eye-opening to understanding the importance of natural light. And so you are so correct in that this land of blue light we now live in with computers and screens everywhere, it really does impact our sleep schedules. I know that,
Mm-hmm.
again, this is
Mm-hmm.
talked about a lot, but watching TV for 4 hours at night when it's been dark since 5 or whatever.
Oh, it's so bad.
If you think about, I mean, we all do it, so I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
judging here.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but if you think about, again, from a tribal perspective, when we woke up when the sun was up and we went to bed when it was dark, or we were like in a all of a sudden slumberish kind of mood when it was dark. Whereas now, I think that people such as us and people who are listening to this are probably more in tune with cyclical nature. But at a society perspective, we just say F it when it comes to the natural like lighting of the world. We're just like, let's have computer all day long, screen time all day long. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is so different than again that tribal perspective, so it makes so much sense that our circadian rhythms are impacted, which is therefore impacts our hormones, therefore impacts our cycles. Now all of a sudden, this whole idea of like, oh, bleeding with the moon, it's just not quite the same because we're not
Right.
as connected as when we used to be.
Absolutely. And would you say also back then, maybe women were a little bit like less PMS, like, because they were so in tune with the cycle? Like, would you
Uh,
say?
yeah, I mean, I think that it is very real that our foods don't have as much nutrition. Okay. It's
Mhm.
very real that women really struggle with overdoing themselves, over burning themselves out, and just wanting to do everything, being the nurturer, being the worker, being the provider, being the lover, being the daughter, the mother, like so many
Like
roles.
Superwoman.
Yeah, so many roles. And not that's not even the thing is that it's not Superwoman. It's what we decided was natural for women to do. But now
Mm,
women are struggling with fertility all around the world because we've been pushing ourselves to like extreme lengths. But anyway, at a baseline level, our nutrition is just not the same. Our stress levels are just through the roof. And I think that now we're waking up this whole new paradigm situation that everyone's talking about. I think that at a foundational level, we're very much so waking up to this need to be more intuitively just like open and really what it doesn't matter what society says is good for me, what actually feels good for me, and what does alignment feel like for me. I think that's ultimately helping us get more intuitive and have a healthier cycle. But back to the question of, was PMS less of an issue? I would say yes, because the stress was, I would say, also less. And stress is by far the
mhm.
biggest issue when it comes to women's hormone health these days.
So, what do you think, in your opinion, then? Because you bring up a very important
Yeah,
aspect, like stress.
yeah,
We all deal with it. Everybody deals
yeah.
with it. I would say it's definitely a lot higher nowadays
Mhm,
because of the conveniences we have, such as
mhm.
phones, cell phones, TV.
Yeah,
Those things bring us pleasure and they bring us joy, but they also bring a little stress component
yes.
because, again, it's altering like our circadian rhythm. You can wear glasses, like I am right
Yeah,
now, that is like kind of tricking the brain into we're like
yeah,
not looking at a screen right
yeah,
now, but we really are.
yeah.
And you can do those things, but it's like, I don't know, I think there's got to be maybe some like tricks to kind of manage it. And you already talked about, hey, when the sun comes up, just go outside, get yourself some
Yeah,
natural
yeah,
light.
yeah.
But what about, how would women, or how should women, I should say, go through the day, as opposed to, like going through the day with their natural routines, I should
Yeah.
say.
Mhm.
Like what are some kind of tricks to kind of keep that stress level down and to kind of
Yeah.
keep the hormones more in balance, would you say?
Yeah, so I mean, that is a big question.
Mhm.
That's a big question. But I think that
Probably different than for like everyone, but
that is
like
a big,
just example. I
yes,
mean, or maybe
yes.
you could use like what you do since you know your body best.
Yeah. Okay, no, for sure. So what I was gonna say is that with my clients, this is basically the basis of what our work together is how do you go through every day,
Mhm.
and with the ability to reduce stress, with the ability to actually enjoy what you're doing, and like instead of say, oh, I need to do this, say, no, I'm actually choosing to do this, and this is something that it feels good to me. But I think
Oh, that's
that,
good. So like
yeah,
power words instead of need to. It puts
yes,
so much pressure on you,
yeah.
If you just change that to I choose to, then it gives a little bit more of the power back to you,
Hmm.
which can kind of relax you a little bit. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but I think that also as a dietitian, right? Like that is my background, is
Hmm.
like a lot of women who are chronically stressed are also chronically undernourished.
Uh,
And we can use the word nourish through nutrition, but also like emotional nourishment or like spiritual nourishment or whatever. Um, so honestly, like, are we eating 3 meals a day? Okay. Like, are we doing it? A lot of people aren't. Are we having coffee for breakfast? Like that's
mhm.
probably putting our body in a state of stress immediately. Are we, taking to 5 minutes a day to be by ourselves? If that's what we need, some people thrive on being only extroverted, etc. But for me personally, I need some alone time. Am I doing
Mhm.
that? Am I prioritizing, like, I don't know, tidying up so that my space doesn't feel chaotic? You're 100% right in that what feels good for you is what feels good for you. But it's
Mhm.
real, and that's actually why I kind of love human design, because that does help lean into
Oh,
what
me
is,
too.
yeah, what's like
That could be a whole
your,
other interview.
yeah, what's your thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think, like I said, it's chronically stressed women are chronically undernourished in the world of nutrition, emotional nourishment, and spiritual, energetic nourishment. And so I think looking at those three worlds and saying, okay, little journaling exercise, how do I take one step for each of these realms every day? And you'll be able to tell that almost immediately that grounding feeling will occur.
Gotcha. And I mean, it does change throughout like the different phases as well, you know?
Yes.
So, I mean, there might be some phases, like I know the follicular phase, that's like right after your period. For those of you that don't know so much about hormone balance, and we know that during that time, generally, you got a lot more energy than you do, you know, because like during your period, because you're not in that almost like winter state where you're like, okay, let's slow down. We're meant to slow down. We're meant to be like a little bit more, um, almost like a self, like it's like a self love
Yes.
journey, but like even self care, I should say, like
Yeah.
way more self care. And follicular phase, it's like the different hormone, I think, is it progesterone that rises? Is that
Mhm.
right? Yeah, which totally changes how you feel and gives you more energy. So you might be like less likely, I guess, to maybe slow down because you're just like, oh, you know, like I'm feeling so good. What would you say?
So I think that that's a really amazing point to bring up, in that each phase of our cycle, alignment looks different for every
Mhm.
phase, for every person. Um,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you've probably also seen, like, actually, I've seen it on the MoonX app of like exercising for different phases of your
Mhm.
cycle. And again, I'm of the mindset that is totally personal to you and what feels good for you. But really saying, I do have energy this week. Maybe I'll go to a Zumba class I really love. I don't know, whatever. But then you're saying, "Oh, this is the week before my period and I really am just feeling more emotional, or I'm feeling like I just, the whole PMSing land," which I think that society maybe thinks that if we're PMS, oh, she must be PMSing. When it's like, no, those are actually feelings that like need to be released. Like it's actually healthy that you are allowing them to flow out of you. So like self-care is going to be honoring those emotions, honoring those feelings, honoring whatever is happening. And so that alignment, reducing stress, like you said, is going to look different throughout the cycle. But as long as you always tap in and say, okay, what do I need today, that
Mhm.
can help us just feel better long term, even if it's a 2% betterment at first, like if we can just feel like 1% better every day, hey, we're gonna feel
Yeah.
20% better in 20 days. That's pretty cool. So yeah.
It's so easier said than done though, you know,
Yes.
with the 1% better every day,
Yeah.
because as us women know, we're
Yes.
like, no, we can do 5%. No, we can do like
Yes.
20%. Oh, we can, you know, and then before we know it, burnout.
Yes.
Just
So
like,
that's actually super interesting that you said that, because right when yes, when the whole better word, we think it's do more. 1% better means, oh my gosh, I got to do 1% better, more, like I got to do one more thing or one more
mhm,
task.
mhm,
Where
mhm.
actually, I think in terms of moving with our cycles, being touchy-feely and intuition and la la la, it's actually, in my mind, 1% better, quote unquote, is like 1% quieter. 1% like give myself 5 more minutes in bed that I can like listen to my noise canceling headphones meditation, or
I
like
love
or
that.
like actually write down 5 things I'm grateful for. So it's like instead of the better equaling more output, it's actually 1% understanding ourselves a little bit better.
I love that. That's super validating
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like that's oh, that's amazing. Um, so I think we kind of answered one of the questions,
Yes.
like yeah, how do you see the relationship between mind, body, and spirit? You know,
Mm,
I think you kind of just touched on that one.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Okay. So what about, yeah, this is a good one. So let's talk about trauma. We all
Yes.
have it. We all have
I
it.
get
And
it.
it's been, you know, one of those things like you
Yes.
don't want to talk about it, but you need to
You
talk
need
about
to.
it, you know,
Yes.
or get it out in some way.
Hmm.
Um, would you say there's like, I don't know, a certain way that someone could go about if they haven't released that trauma?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like how that impacts certain
Yes.
hormones, and maybe there's some steps that some people can take.
No, that's super valid. So first of all, generational trauma and like trauma in the womb and like maternal trauma. Have you, for our listeners, there is a book called, oh shoot, it didn't start with me. I think that's what it's called. And it's specifically about generational trauma and that it's like the past 3 generations, you're feeling that. And like, it's either you choose to heal it or you don't, homie. Like, what are we gonna do? But I think that the first, so answer to the question, are hormones in fact impacted by generational or your own trauma or maternal trauma, paternal, whatever trauma? The answer is 100% yes, because of
Mm-hmm.
course that impacts our stress response, our fight or flight, how we react to situations, our feelings of safety, 100%. Um, Personally, on my own healing journey, I know that, and with my clients, I think that it's easy to say, well, I got to heal my trauma, but I think what's hard is to really understand what trauma you actually have until you're like going through the healing process. And I think that do you know what I mean? I feel like the first step is literally when you're quote unquote PMSing. Now, not that it's invalid, but I think the world invalidates it, is to actually say the feelings that I'm having right now are incredibly valid and I need to actually feel them and like just let them take up space so I can actually release them. And I think that that's like an amazing first way to, because I think I truly like I didn't know my trauma until it was like, really in my face, like I was having an emotional like breakdown about something, right? And I was like, you know what? I think this is probably connected to that. But I think that the first step is literally just sitting with it and allowing it to take up space instead of just pushing it down and saying, it's just, I'm just hormonal. Hold on,
Mm-hmm.
I think some other great ways, of course, I'm a Reiki master, so energy healing has been a huge component to my own healing. I've tried Kundalini activation and different Reiki energy healing forms and talk therapy and like all the things are really great. Again, it has to feel good for you. The first step, though, that it always comes back to, literally every single form that I have tried, it's always actually honoring your own feelings because we
Mm-hmm.
we like to just say, nah, whatever. I'll deal with it later. But
Yeah.
really it's like, no, like this is coming up. What's coming is going. So allow it to come and go.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, so what's coming is going. Almost like
Yeah.
everything is temporary, you
Yes.
know?
As long
Um,
as we actually feel it. I think that we are
okay.
so trained to be like, oh, I'm having anxiety. I'm gonna push it down so I don't feel it right now because this is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like embracing the uncomfortable, letting it just marinate, and it will naturally go because all we really wanted to be was honored.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so for some people, I remember when I was going through my healing journey, I actually had mold poisoning, and
Yeah.
that like disrupted so many things in
Yeah.
my organs. Nothing was working right. My body was constantly in this fight or flight,
Mhm.
mode, and the doctors were like, yeah, your normal activities, not that I could really do them that well, I was healing from injuries, but I remember my normal activities of like, walking, running, like those kind of fast
Mhm.
kind of activities.
Yeah.
I was told, oh, no, 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 your hormones cannot handle that right now because they're in
Mhm.
such a state of like, ah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so when you said again, like whatever's coming is going, I think
Yeah.
that's really good for someone to know that, who's
Yeah.
going through something that they don't
Yes.
yet understand themselves, or they're
Yeah.
not completely in control.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like really healing what you said about that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and I also want to validate that like my healing journey is not over, and I'm sure yours isn't either. Like we are
No.
continuously on it, and
Yeah.
it's part of the human experience. So instead of saying, "Ah, my body's broken," say, "Wow, look at me just growing as a soul. Look at me learning." Okay, you know,
Right, right. Oh, there's this one commercial. I think you'd absolutely love it. It was for it's for this ring. It's for this ring that's
aura ring.
basically yes, that one, that one. Yes. What did you think about that commercial? I thought it was so powerful
I'm
what
gonna be
they said
honest.
about the body. Oh
I
yeah,
did
go
not.
for it.
I didn't see the commercial, but I love the aura ring. So I don't. I didn't see
Oh,
the commercial, but I do love the aura ring for sure.
oh my gosh, we need to you should look that up on YouTube. I should probably put a link to that commercial because literally it changed the way
Hmm.
that I think about my body straight up first thing in the morning because I used to be so hard on it, you know.
Yeah.
I used to be so hard on myself to expecting myself to be at such a higher level when I couldn't get there.
Yeah.
And this one is really about, like you were saying, kind of just honoring where you're at, you
Yeah.
know, and then just again, like letting things kind of flow through you because, you know, as long as you allow it in, it's, you know, it's almost like the body's like, we're used to allowing these in because it will push it out. However, resistance is kind of
Yes.
persistence. So, you know,
Yes.
that's kind of what I figured out
Yes.
on my journey too. And I think
Yeah.
it's just so important for people to know that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
um, so with that too, yeah, so I went to a holistic doctor, and there's a question here too about like what's the potential benefit of holistic therapies versus you know, like let's say people have a hormonal imbalance but they want to go to their OBGYN
Yeah.
and they want to get like, you know, some sort of medication.
Yeah.
So what would you say the difference is between that kind of world and then just going holistic? Because I know you can go overboard on both sides.
That's 100% true. So I feel that when you are going into the Western medicine, but for me, I live in the United States, so where that what we think of the United States medicine, they are meant to prescribe and to diagnose, and I think that there's a lot of anger at the Western medicine, which is valid. Feelings are valid, but I think that a lot of the anger is stemming from expecting that medical system to do what it's not been trained to do. It has been trained to diagnose and to prescribe. So if you're looking for a diagnosis and or a prescription, they're awesome. Love that. Thank you. Whereas if you are on a journey to find the root cause of your healing, so to avoid band-aid medications or band-aid approaches or just like, oh my gosh, my medication just keeps going up and up and up, or oh, they want to put me on another psych medicine. There's nothing wrong with psych medication. If that's what your path is, then amazing. But there's like, you're like, where at a root level is that necessary? And again, because I have hypothyroidism Hashimoto's, like I do need to take a hormone replacement for my thyroid, and that's not bad. It's just because my thyroid isn't able to produce it. So like my mom has type 1 diabetes. She needs to take insulin. Like she's unable to produce it. That we are so grateful for the medicine that we need, whatever. But with functional medicine, all of a sudden we're learning from the root cause. For me on my healing journey, for my hormonal symptoms that were coming up, were like all of them, but was like constipation, weight gain, like inflammation, water weight, IBS, uh, chronic acne, eczema, psoriasis, hair loss, really bad menstrual cycles, yeah, like anxiety, panic attacks, migraines. Like really, there was so much going on. And when I went to my endocrinologist, we just checked the thyroid levels. That's it. And like, okay, well, they're fine. But I was having all this inflammation in the background that was not being addressed. And so finally I went to a functional doctor, and by doing that, now the TSH, or basically your thyroid reading, is just a part of the puzzle. All of a sudden we looked into mineral work. We looked into vitamins that I might be missing, some food sensitivities that I wasn't addressing. What blood sugar regulation, that's so key to hormone balance. Toxicities or energy healing. Honestly, that's when I started getting into that. So functional healing is sometimes I have people come to me who almost want it to be more of like a Western medicine approach. Like, here it is, here's the answer. When
Mhm.
really, when we work together, an explanation of what functional medicine is we allow your body to tell us where to go next. It's like, okay, this symptom is okay. Well, then that's often caused by a vitamin C B complex situation. Oh, okay, now another symptom is coming up. Okay, well, that must be connected to this then. Okay, then this is connected to, and so it's allowing your functional medicine allows your body to be uh puzzle instead of just reading on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? So I think that a functional holistic medicine is always if for me it has been a non-negotiable actually, like it's just like it's a non-negotiable. Once you start, I feel like you don't want to stop. It's not about can't stopping, it's you don't want to because now you're actually honoring your body as a body, with emotional,
Mhm.
with physical things. And okay, maybe you're having panic attacks, but where is that panic attack coming from? Like, why? What do we need to face there? Or is it actually because if it's a magnesium deficiency? Like those are all questions that are not answered. And I think that there's so much anger at Western medicine, but really we need to actually just be a little bit more open to trying functional because
Mhm.
that's why functional medicine exists, is to give those kinds of answers that are super subtle, that are like touchy-feely and intuitive and like not black and white. Let me know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. I think you answered like two questions. So rock on, girl. um, yeah, so I mean, I sort of answered the second question. But basically the question was, are there any specific dietary or lifestyle
Mm.
changes
Oh yeah.
that you can recommend
Yes.
for, maintaining hormone health? Any
Yes.
specific ones?
So definitely, we already talked about it a little bit, but like 3 meals a day, for sure. Like have breakfast, for sure. Make sure you are nourishing your body and you're allowing time for rest. I think that these two things are so simple, but we just don't do them. We don't do them. And so like taking time to learn how to properly nourish your body. Something that also has been very helpful, it's kind of random, but adding minerals to your water is huge because we think that, oh, just drink water, wait, water, water, water. But in order to actually have proper hydration, truly minerals are key, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Get your labs done. Understand, like, where's your vitamin D, man? Like, if your vitamin D's off, that impacts everything, maybe start with a woman's vitamin every day. Like, honestly, it could really help. And I think some Western medicine, they're like, oh, you're just gonna pee it out if it's extra. As a functional practitioner, I'm like, hey, if there's extra, that means all my needs are met. Awesome. Like, I think that
Yeah.
if you're trying to like go the extra mile, like go the extra mile. I think that's really
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And lean into what nourishing your body, like think like maybe journal on it, like what does nourishing me mean, what does that even mean to me, because it's going
Mm-hmm.
to look different to everyone. But as a dietitian, blood sugar regulation is by far the most important thing for hormone balance. So like having a high quality protein, a complex carbohydrate and a vegetable or a fruit and a healthy fat for your 3 meals a day, that changes everything. I have some clients that they're like, oh my God. And that's all we did. That's literally all we did. And so it
Yep.
really can change the game.
Oh, for sure. And what
Yeah.
would you say for the people, if you can explain, I know what you mean, but some
Yeah.
people might not. How do you add minerals to your water and what does that look like? Like
Yeah.
what are those? People are hearing minerals. What is that?
You're like, what do I do? No, it's a really great.
Yeah.
So so number one, you could always just add some sea salt to your water, like literally just add a little sprinkling of sea salt to your water. That's really great. And that has minerals. So, there is also no sugar added electrolytes you can find online. It's kind of like a supplement kind of situation. And you can also add like lemon. There's like vitamins in your lemon or cucumber or whatever. But there's really simple ways to add minerals on. Like I said, adding just a little bit of sea salt or a no sugar added like high quality mineral powder into your water is a great, great, great start, and it really can change your life. I swear to goodness.
Gotcha. Well, honestly, I feel like we could talk like forever about this because I'm such a geek with nutrition. I have a certification in nutrition too, like holistic
Amazing.
nutrition. So I totally understand you. And then, of course, because of the experience I went through, I know so much more about this than I ever wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how it
Like
goes
so
though.
much more. Yeah. So we didn't get to, oh my gosh, we didn't get to every single question, but let me see if I can figure out one more, and we might just have to meet again, to be honest.
Amen. Let's do it.
Like, um, okay, let's see. That one's a big one. Okay, I would just say, some, if you had to give, okay, if someone's coming to you and says they just need like three things that will help improve balancing their hormones, what would those top three be?
First is 3 balanced meals a day, literally 3 balanced meals a day, and proper
Okay.
hydration. That's going to be one. I'm going to count that as one. Finding joyful movement that works for you. And it doesn't have to be crazy intense. It doesn't have to be anything, but just yoga is an example where it's literally moving emotional energy out of our body. And so instead of looking at exercise as, oh, burning calories, getting, buffing up, literally it's a way to help our body process emotion, a body stored emotion, stress, anxiety. And number three is finding some type of energetic or spiritual practice that works for you, because that's going to help calm the nervous system. And if our nervous system is not calm, our hormones are never going to be supported. So whatever that looks
Love
like
it.
for you, and that could be at any stage of a woman's life. I think that usually we think of fertility, menopause, perimenopause, even the young woman. This is going to help at all stages, and know that by you experiencing your feelings, being emotional, being, intense, that's you being the ultimate feminine. And just be flowy, allow yourself to be flowy, lean in, and love yourself.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Michaela. I can't wait to upload this. And yeah, just thank you so much. We're gonna have to have you back again.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to support, and I'm happy to connect with anybody who's listening. Love you very much. Beep.